Hi, this is Katie with craftingwithkatie.blogspot.com, and today I'm going to show you how I made this card using the Cricut Imagine. I'm going to be making about 4 more of these because this week at my school where I teach there is a big book fair, and the students and the families are really generous and donate books to the classroom, so I want to have a bunch of these to give out to the girls, and then I'm going to make another version for the boys. Okay, the first thing I'm going to grab for the card is the Your Tweet sign and the bird from this little icon here. So I'm going to go ahead and add it. And then I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to actually choose all of the layers. I'm going to hit this button right here. And I'm going to be doing the banner at 2 inches. So I'm going to decrease the size here to 2 inches and apply. Okay, so I'm not going to use the bird's wing. I'm just going to print the bird as one piece. So I'm going to backspace over that. And this green piece I don't need, so we'll get rid of that. So we'll go back to this banner. And that one actually we already made 2 inches, so that's fine. But the bird, we're going to adjust and make it 1.3 inches. So I'm going to decrease this and apply. Okay, now the next thing is the book that was on my card. And to get that, I'm adding my Locker Talk cartridge to the left side of the Imagine. And up pops up the overlay, and here's the book right here, and then there's a layer, so I'm going to go ahead and choose those. Alright, and you can see it actually put it on my map, but I do need to edit those, so I'm going to get the book, I'm going to edit it, and now the nice thing, because I still have the Best Friends cartridge on the right, I can use the patterns. So I'm going to fill this with a polka dotted pattern. And I'm going to cut this at 2 inches also. So I'll apply that. And then the layer is still at 1.3 inches because that was how I had set the bird. It keeps it the last thing you did. So I'm going to have to go back and adjust that to 2 inches as well. Okay, so that gives me my banner, my bird, my book, and the last thing that I need is this little top note, which is from the Imagine More cartridge. So I'm going to take out Best Friends, I'm going to put in the Imagine More, and it should pop up here in a second. There we go. And I'm actually going to take one of the stock images that comes with the Imagine. There was a top note that I liked, which was this one. So I'm going to edit that, and that I'm going to cut at 3 inches. And the reason I'm on the Imagine More cartridge is I love this piano music paper, which is this one right here. So I'm going to apply that. And we'll hit next. And you know what happened? It looks like as soon as you switch out your cartridge, your Imagine cartridge, you lose all the things that you had on the original Imagine cartridge that you had loaded. So that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. So let me just show you, to get 4 of these, there's an art quantity button. We're going to change it to 4, and they all show up. And then I'll just go ahead and cut these, go back and redo what you saw me do before, and with the bird, the banner, and the book, and change the quantity for that to 4 also, and cut all of that out. Okay, so I went back and added back everything I accidentally deleted when I switched my cartridges. Of course, we learn something every day with our Imagines. Definitely not an expert yet. But it works really great to just choose what you want and then change that art quantity to the number of cuts you need. So I just changed it to 4, and this is how it printed out for me. So the size of this card is not your regular A2 size card. I got these envelopes once, I think maybe from clearbags.com. And I just like the size for thank you notes for my students because when I have to write them, it's usually 20 at a time. And they're just a little smaller, so not so much to write. But the cards end up being, you cut the base at 4 7/8 by 7 inches, and then you score it at 3.5 inches. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and done that with the craft cardstock. This is from Paper Tray Ink. I went ahead and did 4 of those. And then I cut my layers also with the craft cards, with Paper Tray Ink cardstock. This one is Melon Berry. And this is cut at 4 5/8 by 3 1/4 inches. This I will end up running through the Cuttlebug, but before I do that, I'm going to ink around the edges because I just find that sometimes it's hard to ink once it's already embossed. So I'm just going to go ahead now, when I do things in quantity, just have a little assembly line. So I'm going to ink around the edges of all of these, and I'll also do these top notes and then the card base itself. Okay, the next step is embossing, and I hope you can see this. I went ahead and embossed this white part of the book to make it look like pages of a book, and it came out pretty cool. So what I used was a Paper Tray Ink embossing plate, which you can use with your Cuttlebug. This is called the wood grain impression plate. And because it's not as thick as having a Cuttlebug folder, you have to add this little shim, which you can also get from Paper Tray Ink. So that just goes on top. And then otherwise it works just like any Cuttlebug folder. Your A plate, B plate, then the embossing plate and shim, and then the other B plate. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through. And then after I do that, I'm going to be embossing the pink papers with the Polka Dots Cuttlebug folder. I've gone ahead and adhered the top note with the music onto the embossed piece, and I went and used my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive. I have an ATG gun, but I find it doesn't work so well when you're trying to adhere something to something that's embossed. So I did it this way, and I also went ahead and used the Scotch Quick Dry to adhere this, which I did trim a little bit. This is what it looks like originally, and I just made it a little bit smaller. So the next thing is to put some twine on it. This is rustic jute button twine from Paper Tray Ink. And what I do is just tape a little piece on the back, just using some regular old Scotch tape. And then I wind it around. I like to do 3 lines. And then just cut the other end and put a little bit of tape there. Very easy. Okay, so this card is almost together. Now we just have to adhere this to our card base. And for this, we will use the ATG gun. Okay. We'll just center that on here. And each of these layers is about 1/4 inch smaller than the other. Perfect. So now I just need my book and a little bird. And to adhere these, I'm using these Zots, which I used to use all the time, but they're really thick for mailing. But these are cards that I would just be giving to students in class, so they don't need to be mailed. These are pretty thick. So I'll just put 2 of them on here. Okay. So a little book. Then I'll also give one for the bird. And then we'll just set him, so, or her I guess, because she's pink, on top of the book. And there's the card. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new about the Imagine.